Hey Rhody Nation, my name's Thorr Bjorn. I'm the Director of Athletics at the University of Rhode Island. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes to hear what we have going on here at URI Athletics. Obviously, it's been a very interesting and difficult time as it relates to our student athletes and competitions, etc. So look forward to filling you in on how we're getting through this and how we're going to plan on coming out the other side. Many of you have seen the announcement by the Atlantic 10 and CAA that fall sports have been postponed to the spring. Want to talk through that and talk about what you can expect going into this upcoming year from your athletic program. The University of Rhode Island is planning to reopen classes both online and in person. Our student athletes will be part of that. The decision was made to when the decision was made to not have fall sports compete in the fall, it was also determined that our students would come back with a general student body. So they're going to be doing that, and when they do come back, what we're working on right now is a strategy and a plan to allow them to practice and daily. We don't know if it's going to look like a non-traditional season. By that I mean, would football, for example, be playing a spring practice type season, or would the soccers be doing that? We don't know yet, but those are things that we're going to be starting to work our way through. We have staff that's going to be putting together a great amount of time and energy in determining what the plans will look like. But when our students come back, we want them to know that, hey, it is a little bit different, but at the end of the day, we're going to be working very, very hard to do the best we can to ensure that you have a competitive opportunity this spring. Our scholarships allocation right now is not being changed. So if a student's coming back and playing that would have been normally been playing in the fall that now plays in the spring, their scholarships will still be honored. There are some nuances there though that make fall sports somewhat unique, especially for our seniors that were planning on graduating in December. So now we have to look through the impacts of what that means by bringing them back in the spring. We'll have to work with the NCAA potentially regarding what scholarship equivalency allocations can look like with sports like soccer that are restricted based on a certain number of scholarships they're able to give, and we've given those out over just based on a half a year versus a full year. So those are all the different things that we're going to have to work our way through with our compliance folks, with the Atlantic 10 staff, and again with the NCAA. There's still a lot up in the air, but again, we have to work our way through it. We're dealing with unprecedented times, and what we're trying to do is ensure that our student athletes have an opportunity to compete, have an opportunity to go to class, earn their degree, and have the best possible experience under these interesting different times than they would have had in the past. As of right now, our winter sports have not been impacted, and that certainly would include men's and women's basketball. We're planning on having a full schedule, which would start in November and go right through the NCAA tournament, and we're preparing with that in mind. What we don't know is what the impact on crowds in the Ryan Center could be. What we don't know is are there potentially going to be NCAA changes in terms of when we start the season, or Atlantic 10 changes. Do we end up playing a conference-only schedule in January? Those are things we don't know. Those are things that we have to prepare for and be aware of and be transparent about. So there's a lot up in the air, but again, at the end of the day, our plan as of today is to play a full basketball season. If we have to adjust, similar to what we did with our fall sports, we'll do that. But we know how important it is for our spring sports, especially our basketball programs, to compete and to play in that NCAA tournament. Right now, as it relates to season tickets for football, everybody should have been contacted. If you have season tickets for football or bought individual game tickets, you should have been contacted by our ticket office, and you have options. The options are to carry those tickets over to the spring, or get refunded, or provide a donation to URI. We certainly hope that you will continue to be supportive of our program. Come back out and support us with whatever the schedule looks like in the spring. If that won't work for you, then certainly would ask you to consider making that ticket price a donation back to the URI athletic programs. Again, that's going to benefit our students. As we all know, the finances going into this year are really difficult across the country. We're not unique. I talk to our coaches a lot about that. I talk to our staff about that. We're not unique, but there are going to be incredible financial challenges that many of you may be facing at home as well. But we certainly need your support in order to run our programs. And so we'd ask you to continue and handle things, from a ticket refund perspective, if it comes to that, in any way that makes sense for you. But if you would consider making that gift or keeping the ticket revenue on account for future, we'd really appreciate it. But we want you to be safe. We want you to make the right decisions for you. So I hope everybody is having a good summer and enjoying it. Certainly those of you in Rhode Island, there's no better place to be in the summertime for sure. I ask you all to please be safe, take care of each other, and again, get back to campus when you can. We'll keep communicating with you as to what our programs look like, and we really, again, want to ask for your continued support. I know our student athletes deserve it, and they're going to need it. We will get back to normal at some point, and I look forward to those times. These are certainly very interesting, difficult times, but we promise you the same thing I've promised our coaches and our students. Full transparency on what we're going to do, what the planning looks like, the adjustments that we may need to make, and you know what? We'll get through this, but we want to get through it together, and so again, I appreciate your support. And lastly, please, make sure you wear your mask. We want to start playing sports again. Go Rhody.